This is IBM Museum. I'm back in front of the IBM PS2 Model 53 SLC2 because I want to get a BIOS image from this system that I can examine. And so I did go to the Model 53 page. Let me get to where we can interact with this. And look down through. It is U47 on the planar, which shows just over on the kind of the center right of that planar. Got the double line around it, meaning a socketed chip. And for the component listing, of course, it just says BIOS, but down below it does have it listed for the U47 BIOS, and it has two FRUs listed there. And then it lists a version, I guess, that it reports. I would have to look through on the old System Information Tool video for this system to kind of see what it was reporting as the BIOS revision on that. But I did look to see on that chip on the planar in the socket. It's a plastic leaded chip carrier, and this one is actually marked as 02G1765, and on the page it is that's marked as a one of the versions is an 82G1767, and I'm probably thinking that 0 is crosshatched, so it probably looks like an 8, or has been transcribed as an 8 when that's actually 0, and that sounds like a very close version to what this chip may contain. That may be an internal chip numbering as well. We'll just get to see that on the system when we go through and pull that up. So I do have this connected to the, let me flip over to the screen. Okay. And I've booted from that System Information Tool diskette that for the main reason it's a bootable diskette, and this system, as we've looked at the hard drive in the past, it does have the Novell NetWare, and so I'm going to go through just to prove the time and date. That looks correct. Looks like it's right on. And so the MS-DOS version of this diskette is version 5. And I kind of knew a little bit of a background when I went through and I was going to, for the dumping of the BIOS, we run that debug script. So we have to have the debug program on the diskette as well. And so I was a little bit wise to the point where I said, I probably can't just copy that over from my tweener system that I have over here, over off of my right shoulder, and because there's something with that Microsoft did back in the day, and we can kind of see some of the. Let's look through for like the debug exe that I did copy over from that tweener system. It's marked as that with a date back in 1994, but it has it 6:21A, and what that is actually marking the MS-DOS version that was produced under. And as I say, Microsoft went through and they locked out in the later DOS versions of you running the utilities that were included with one version on a separate DOS version. And indeed, that's what it does. It goes through, when you try and run the debug, it tells you incorrect DOS version. And I mean, I was smart enough in advance that even prior to this, I went through and I just made a separate boot diskette. I copied over all the SIT files, the System Information Tool files, onto that diskette. But I wanted to, just get it set up to where the debug would run. And so let's go ahead and boot from that diskette. And I could go through and I could show the process for creating that bootable diskette on the machine. I just dual booted that to the MS-DOS. I did have the 6.21 on there, and just did a format for the A drive /S to copy all the system files. Then went through, copied over the debug files once again, and then copied over all those files I'd saved from that other diskette. And there's no auto exec bat, so it goes through and it does the same, prompts us for the time and date. And then, of course, it reports that it's got the MS-DOS 6.21. And the command com, as you can see, and the debug.exe at the very top of that, it's got the 6:21A, meaning that they are the same versions. Now, everything else, of course, in there is just the time and date of what's been copied over. In fact, it'd be interesting to see, because I noticed the QBasic and the edit.com, which we may have to use, is from 6.20A. And I'll just have to see if it'll present that same thing. But we're able to go through, and we do have the debug on here. I've got the scripts that I copied over, even though we're going to go through and we're going to modify the dump BIOS.bat, because we want to go through and save it as an appropriate file name. So let's see if we can go through and if it'll allow us to run that the edit program. Okay, well, that seems good. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go down for the final file name that is compiled for that. And we're going to mark it as at 02G1765 that I saw actually on the chip itself. And I'm pretty sure I'm reading that 0 correctly as a cross-hatched 0. But it can look like an 8 from a distance. So we're going to do Alt-Fs to save. Alt-F exit. Okay. And we are going to run. Okay. The other thing that we'll have to do, it's showing 124 kilobytes available on the diskette. And so I'm going to have to make some room actually for those files. And so what I'm going to do is I'll just delete the earlier versions that sit_1, sit_a.exe, and then and those are just those earlier versions that Major Tom went through and fixed certain bugs. And then the sit_c is actually the latest version of the system information tool that I have. I'll leave that on diskette. This should give me enough room. And then the sit.exe is the original. And I'll leave that. But 550 kilobytes is more than enough for going through and saving to diskette. So we're going to go through and we're going to go dump BIOS And this runs from diskette the same way as a hard drive. Just takes a little bit longer, of course. Okay, so we're going to do another directory just to look at those files. And it's about 400 KB used of all those. I mean, they're defined sizes that I could have gone through and calculated. 32 KB for each half of the segment. The segments together, of course, being 64 KB, and then 128 KB for the final composed file. So I've got that on diskette, just as we needed to. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to switch over to the tweener system. So we can just pull up the EEPROM reader program and load that file up and see what that looks like, see what it's marked internally. And then I'll get to the point where I can even upload it to get it over in Major Tom's hands. So that can be added to the chart to at least examine it for that image. Some of these systems may be flash-based. There's a way to probably gain that BIOS image through that file that's used to update the flash image. But you know, this gives a way to get the same contents that's on that chip, be it a flash or an actual EEPROM in this case. And so that we can kind of look over things and see what it reports. So I'll go through and pause as I get the other system started up, and we'll go through and take a look at what we did. Okay, there we're booted up to Windows XP. I'm going to go through and I'll put the diskette in just to I'll copy over the file over to just the hard drive, just to be able to work with it a little bit better. And I'm going to plug in the EEPROM reader. You hear that nice stereo sound as we've got things connected. The EEPROM reader has to be connected to run the program. So let's go to our A drive. And we're going to go through and we're going to grab some of the files from this. I'll go through and hold down the control key as I go through and grab which ones I want. And let's not forget the master, the complete copy of the ROM BIOS. And we're going to go to just our local drive. I'll go through. We'll create a new folder. Okay. And just have it as 53 SLC2. Now this could effectively be, I'm suspecting it's the same BIOS for the model 55LS486. Because that's based on that same planar, and so that may be revealed as I've got 55LS486 mols that I can go through and check as well for what BIOS they have. So we're going to go through and we'll change the IC, because normally we're wanting to go through and we're looking at a 27C010 and PLCC format, just to get that set the same way as the chip that we're wanting to read the file. Okay, we're in the 8525 directory, so we will go over to our model 53, and there's our file that's 128 KB. Okay. So here, and we've got the looking for versions. It's got marked as the video, part of the video ROM extension in there as well for that support, that Cyrus logic chip. And I'm wanting to look through to see. Really see any strings. Let's go all the way to the end, and that's a so that's the 19th of October 1993 for that file, and we probably saw that under the system information tool. So that image is done captured. I'll get it, go through and get it uploaded, and go from there to where at least it's on that group of all the BIOS images that we have for all the PS2 systems, or the PS2 systems so far at least. And I'm preparing for my live stream tomorrow. It'll be in the morning for here. It'll be 10 a.m. local time, which is noon Eastern Standard Time, and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and then 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I will go through, once again, switching back to the YouTube format from doing a Facebook live stream last week, and I'll have to see what I bring out. I've got some IBM model P75s in the wings. I've brought them in, and I'll be cleaning them up. That will be one possibility. I can start pulling those out. And of course, those will be in separate videos, but can go through and show those off a little bit during the live stream. I'll just ad-lib it once again and see who shows up. If you can make it, that is appreciated. That's going to be just about close to 12 hours from the time I'm recording it now. So it'll be a shorter span of time by the time that this video is uploaded and goes live. But I expect to see you there. If you like the content of this video, go ahead and click on that like button and let me know. Please comment if you found this informative. I realize that we've gone through this routine before in longer versions. But let me know if you want to see that extra content, or you like these videos being at least a little bit more compact if I've gone over some of the material before. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, please consider that and recommend it to your friends to get them subscribed as well. But that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.